welcome to National Herald. I am Rukmini Sen. Joining me today is a very special guest, Shalini Vats. And Shalini Vats is in Spotlight. Why is she under Spotlight? Well, Spot Awards 2021. Shalini Vats has won the gold, has been conferred gold under the performance in a supporting role female web category. In the same category, Manoj Vajpayee won gold for Mrs. Serial Killer. Hello and welcome, Shalini. And before we start talking, let me show my audience your body of work.
बाहर निकालू क्या चप्पल चल जाता है कि नहीं यहाँ से
पीने आएगा पीने
चल तुझे क्या लगा था तू इधर आएगा बड़ा आदमी बनेगा नोट चमकाएगा और फिर कोई ना कोई उन्हें कुचल कर मार देता है तुझे जिंदा रहने का है तो डेयरिंग कर सॉरी हाँ मैं थोड़ा लाउड बोली थी अभी 2 दिन से बिस्तर गंदा कर रहा है चलो अभी इसमें सुसु करो
नहीं गोली मार देगा
अम्मा बोला ना फिर अम्मा से क्या शर्म नी साजिटेरियस आणो नी ഒരാളെ കാണും धीरे धीरे ना मेरे को भी स्पेनिश बोलने का चस्का लग गया हैफे दी हैफे तुम एक बार प्यार से मुझे पेंडेगो बुलाओ ना
शहनाजिर मनोला
प्रोसिक्यूशन 2 साल पहले तक खुद किराए के मकान में रह रही थी तो क्या वो भी टेररिस्ट है
बात वो दैट्स नॉट द पॉइंट वेयर आई स्टे दीदी क्या इसे आने से मना कर दो क्या अगर ये इधर आया तो जिंदा वापस नहीं जा पाएगी एक और बच्ची ना खोनी मैंने
इतिहास गवाह
Love suck everyone.
fuck
So, you won an award for a love story. After phenomenal other works like Peepli Live and your work on web like Kantabai, were you a little upset that they didn't give you Best Actress and gave you Best Actress Supporting? Because you were one of the main leads in the film.
I wasn't. In fact, when they called me up to tell me that you won an award, I was very surprised. Like more than surprised, I couldn't connect or relate with it for some time. A few days. One that the award season was over, and I had no news of nomination. Maybe that would have caused some, nervousness or some thoughts. But it didn't. It just came directly that you have won this. No, I wasn't surprised that I was nominated in the supporting category. No, I mean, one knows how things work here. So I wasn't, no thoughts on that at all. I was just happy that my work got acknowledged and it got appreciated. And I was surprised with that. Yes. Because barely.
And it's almost it's as mainstream a film as it can be.
Yes.
It was released on web, but as mainstream as it can be.
Yes.
And your work
one
was
of
recognized.
the most popular web releases of the year. Yes. Ludo was.
How did you get this role?
Oh, very simply. So I got a call one evening that from Ishana Films that we are making this film and there is a love story track with Pankaj Tripathi. Would you want to do it? I said yes. Then come to the office. And the next day I went, and then the writer, Tani Basu, who was the EP on the film, and one of the producers also, I think, and then Dada, Anurag Basu. They briefed me about the whole film because there are different tracks of stories which happen in the film. So Dada told me about the whole film and the concept and the idea and everything and my part. So yeah, I mean, it was as simple as that.
Uh, were you surprised? Because while you have been doing lots of characters which have become very popular, I mean, your character in Sacred Games is now almost iconic. I mean, people are making memes on it. But uh, you're young, you're pretty, but we haven't seen you doing many romantic films. So when Ludo came, what did you make of it?
I was definitely happy doing a love story. And more than, you know, what goes on in the industry, I love stories myself. Reading, literature, like love Sharat Chand's stories, uh, all of them. I mean, and the kind of love stories that they are. I mean, and all kinds of love stories. I just look for them, even while watching film as an audience. So I was happy to do it. And I guess what happens here, I mean, you do a certain kind of a role. And then I think people keep calling you again and again for similar roles. I think they feel safe, that it's tried and tested. So it takes a special director with a special story to come by and think of you differently. I mean, the same thing happened with Sacred Games. When I got the role, I was very surprised that someone has thought of me as a Thekewali to begin with. So that was my excitement point about Sacred Games and Kantabai. So similarly with Ludo, and that I have kind of now understood, that once something comes out, then there'll be more and more calls for similar things because it's tried and tested and safe.
So let's start from the beginning now. If I'm not mistaken, you have a MPhil in political science from JNU, and how did this transition happen from academics to acting?
Um, Actually, both were going on side by side from as long as I can remember. Like school, like class 9th, you know, like 10th boards is the first milestone that we go through. So 9th, I started doing theater in Patna, which is like not school theater, but with a theater group which would perform in an auditorium, like reviews, like a proper theater group. And the influence, I think, comes from my parents because they were very active culturally and socially, politically. So they had friends who had their own theater groups. My father was associated with IPTA, Patna, and there was a lot of exposure and a lot of fascination. So when I got an opportunity, I did it and I had a lot of fun and I got a lot of appreciation. So I thought it's this easy. So I kept on doing it. And then I came to Delhi and I was at Indraprasth College for women in the girls' hostel. So, you know, we had gating times, like 7 o'clock. You had to be attendance taken and in for dinner and the gates locked. So I couldn't do theater outside, but I did lots of theater in college. Then when I went to the university, the gating time, you know, it extended up till, I think, 9:30, 10. So I got that opportunity to go to a theater group and come back to Mandi House. I was at Delhi University, Meghdut Hostel. So, you know, you could take a bus and come back and be gated after that. So that's when it started. And even at JNU, I was active on campus and theater groups because JNU, we didn't have any gating time. So you could come in whenever. So it was going on simultaneously all through. And I think the kind of theater my parents associated with and what I got exposed to, there was no segregation like, say, academia or intellect, literature, poetry, theater, music, it all came in one stream. And that is what was, I guess, in my mind also, that it wasn't actually segregated. They're not two different things, but there came a point when I had to take a career call. I didn't, because I had seen my parents' friends and also teachers at DU and JNU who would be active with theatre in the evenings, and daytime they had a job. And Delhi theatre groups did have people who had other jobs and would come and do theatre in the evenings. But there was a time when I had to take a call. So I think that got supported by the fact that just at that same time, Barry John, who I was working with, also started his own TIE company, Theatre and Education Company. So though I was not at all happy joining or doing TIE at that time, because to me it felt a little like a step down from, acting on stage. But my friends and especially Himanshu, he spoke to me about it, that, this is an opportunity where you'll be making your money from theatre. You'll be able to pay your bills out of your theatre work. So, and I had to take a call. So even after that, actually, I continued working in the development sector, because it was a big thing in my head. I wouldn't have been able to do it, I couldn't think of acting as a career for the longest
So then,
time.
how did your parents, they were in academics, right?
Right.
They were also professors.
Yeah.
So how did they respond to your suddenly changing from academics to theatre full time?
I think my mother saw it coming. I mean, women, I guess, are wiser always. My mother was very smart with us, and she very, with a lot of wisdom and with quietly and with a lot of guidance and stepping in at the right time, stepping away at the right time, she was okay with it. And I think my father was definitely not. He was very, very nervous. So, and he didn't want me to go into acting, take it up as a full-time, as a career, because uncertainty and, the big bad industry, and, who gets work here, and specific kind of people and specific kind of, the things which happen, which we are not or can't relate to or work our ways through or negotiate with. He was very nervous, and he was the more expressive of the two, of both my parents. So he would have these conversations with me. And actually, I think when I was in my intermediate, which is +2, I did it from a college in Patna Women's College. I think I made a deal with him that if I get a first class, you're not going to, then we're not going to have these conversations about whether I'm doing stage or not. And I had to after that, which I did. But then career, yes, he was worried. And one understands that it is, and it never got ugly but with my father. Nothing ever got ugly with him. So that, and when Peepli Life came, he was told, he went into a pause on the phone, he went into a silence. And then I asked him, will you go and watch Peepli Life in the cinema hall? So he said, I'll first send people to watch it, review it for me, and then if I think it's, but he was proud of the fact that I did Peepli Live as a film. So he was happy, and then he went and watched it with his friends in the cinema hall. So yeah,
How did Peepli Live happen? I want to understand that journey, because that was your first
okay,
film.
I'm going on talking. You have to stop me based on the requirement of your
Absolutely. Please tell me, how did Peepli Live happen? Who approached you?
I was in Bombay. I had come here with Himanshu, and I was still doing theatre with Naya Theatre, which is Habib Tanveer's theatre group, which is based out of Bhopal. But it being a traveling theatre troupe, we were constantly traveling all around the country doing plays. We had a place in Bombay, rented place, but most of the month I'd be out on tours with theatre productions. And Mahmood Farooqi, who was and Anusha, who directed the film, they were making their film, and they knew that, Shalini is in Bombay, and Mahmood. So Mahmood called me for an audition. And I went in very confident that, people do hajar auditions and they don't get any roles. So, just go for an audition. That was my first audition, actually. In fact, in Bombay, it was the first. Uh, so I went first film production house that I had entered. So I did that audition and I came back, and then I got a call that you have been shortlisted. So I was like, okay, again, the ways of the film industry and stuff. I didn't care much about it. Then again, so there were four. The third one was reading with Raghuveer Yadav and with Onkar Das, who played Natha. So I was like, why are they calling me again and again? I mean, one audition and I didn't know how it works. So then why do they keep calling me again and again? I was very irritated. I didn't want to go. So Himanshu said, you go. Treat it as an evening of play reading or a script reading with Raghuveer Yadav. You're getting that opportunity. So I went, and Raghuji didn't even look at me once while reading the script. He was just looking at the script. He didn't look at me at all. So I said, what kind of reading is going on? Then the fourth audition I was called for, I was really irritable. And I didn't do anything in the audition. I went all flat. Because I was like, if you have to take me, then take me. If you don't have to take me, why do you keep calling me? From Kandivali to Kar. And Onkar, who was reading with me in my fourth audition, came out and he was very upset. He said, तूने क्या किया आज? तू कुछ कर नहीं रही थी? I said, कितना बार audition करूँगी? I really didn't know how things work here. But then I got the part. And then I asked Raghuji that in that audition, in that reading, you never looked at me also. So he said, I hear and I understand. It's the sur that I get. And being, he's such a musical genius that he is, he said, I have to hear it. I don't need to see it. He said, when I heard you, I knew it. I didn't need to look at you. So that's how Peepli Live had happened.
And after Peepli Live, as it happens in Bombay film industry, often people get typecasted. Did people start believing that you were from a village?
Oh, totally, till now. Now. So sorry. My agent, she got a call and the director was like, she's good and stuff, but I won't be able to communicate so much in Hindi. And she was like, why? Said, so then she got it, that he thinks that till now it happens. And it happened with Sacred Games. People thought I've had phone calls where people have been upset when I told them that, I can't speak a word of Marathi. So yeah, and that time, I used to get calls like, we want you in a TVC, but we'll pay you 2,000 rupees because that's how much people get paid. Utna pay hota hai. Or people believe that I had phone calls where people believe that I live in a village called Peepli. So yes, that happens till now.
So people also believe that, you don't speak English, as you said. There are people in the industry who might not be casting you in urban situations because they believe that either...
Possible, very possible. Totally.
Wow.
Because again, as I said, it is about tried and tested. Then I think it takes a very special director or a writer or producer to come and think of something which has not been thought of. Whether it was Peepli Live or a Gurgaon or a Sacred Games or a Ludo. And then everybody is comfortable with it. Oh, she can do it.
But it also speaks about your acting skills, right? You are actually playing the character so well that they start believing that you could be the character, actually. It happens to very few people. Maybe a Sulekha Sikri and the kinds. Right.
Yeah, as much as I understand acting, yes, I do understand that it's a compliment. I do understand that.
Yeah, but for survival as an actor, that could be quite a concern.
Yeah. But I don't actually, to tell you honestly, I don't resent it. I don't know why, I have not understood that, but I don't resent it. That I want to do different roles, like, any actor would, all kinds of roles. But I don't resent it somehow. Like, I understand it. Okay.
You've also played. You've also worked with Hansel Mehta twice, right? For Shahid
Once.
and Shankar is not his, right? So, oh my goodness. So you have actually worked with Dibakar and Hansel, all the serious filmmakers, and now Anurag Basu. Uh, tell me, how did Shahid happen to begin with?
Oh, Shahid also, like, there was this casting director. He's a filmmaker now, Vinod Rawat. So he called me up one evening and he said that he actually was also involved with Shanghai. That's how he knew me. And he told me that there's a film called this film being made on Shahid Azmi. So I was very pleasantly surprised that somebody was making a film on someone like Shahid Azmi. So he said, would you be interested? I said, yes. So he said, okay, I'll get you connected with Hansel Mehta. So I have not watched films in my life. I didn't know, especially till even now, I don't know too much. At that time, I really didn't know anything. So I didn't know, I never heard of Hansel Mehta. So he said, will you be interested? I said, yes, it's a lawyer's role. So also the role interested me, because after Peepli Live, I mean, people were making sequels of Peepli Live and only Peepli Live in that pink sari. So lawyer was a good, fresh thing for me, and the story. And I was very clear that I had to be part of this story, whatever the role was or it wasn't. And it was very, so Shahid, I met Hansel Mehta, and Hansel Mehta asked me, can you improvise? So I said, yeah. I mean, improvise, everyone can. So I said, yeah. So he said, and the shoot was supposed to happen the next day. The set was ready. For some reason, it didn't. So I got a day off in between. So, and I don't know, I was really clear that I have to do it. And all my friends and Imanshu, they were like, what are you doing? Who are these people? What is this film? You just made up your mind. I said, yeah, I'm doing this film. So I told Hansel Mehta, I'll visit the courts tomorrow, because I told him this, that you want me to play a lawyer, I want to, but I've never ever entered a court. So I don't know what goes on. He said, it's not important. I said, but I have a day now, so I'll visit a court. So he said, it's not required, but if you want to, go. So I went. And I went to Andheri, Adalat Kacheri, and we went from like to 5-6 rooms where hearings were going on. And I couldn't make head or tail of anything, of any of the cases in any of the rooms that was going on. Most of the times I couldn't even hear. I only remember getting tired and putting my feet up while sitting, and the constable would come and say, nahi, pair niche karke baithte court mein. So that was one thing I learned. And I came back and I told Hansel Mehta, I couldn't figure out anything. He said, I knew that. That is why I was telling you it's not required. I said, I want to hear. So, and then when Hansel Mehta briefed us the case, Rajkumar and me, and they would say roll, and we would just improvise. And I was surprised to see, I didn't know much of filmmaking then, I still don't know much. They have the takes like the way it was, without much maneuvering of edits or anything. You'll find a fumble also over there. And yeah, it was, and later I realized that, okay, improvisation is not such a common thing in front of the camera. I'm very proud of doing Shahid.
Yeah, it's a very important film, and I think after Shahid, everybody knows Hansel Mehta, and then there have been some
It went on to win
brilliant
a national
films that he's
award.
made. Yeah, and he's made Aligarh, and those are like really, really good films. So it's okay if you didn't know him before that.
Yeah, I told him, he told me, these are my films. He told me the names of his films. I said, I don't know any of them. He said, good, we'll work well then together. I didn't know, yeah.
How is Dibakar different from Hansel in terms of his approach to direction and film?
See, I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question.
But in terms of
my
forming his relationship
personal-
with you,
Yeah, personal experience. I think both are equally committed. Dibakar is very committed to his script, to his characters. And what I felt, I mean, everybody knows, very meticulous with his work. I mean, there's solid thought and research gone into it. And he really knew the nuances of the character. And in my experience, he trusted me a lot, which I couldn't take. I mean, I didn't believe, I didn't grasp that this director is really trusting me. And that's a regret. Now I realize that I worked some more, that I want to go back and work with Dibakar Banerjee once again. And I felt that he knows in great detail. He knows the scenes, he knows the characters, he knows the situations, the moments, the background in great detail. Very meticulous, so a lot of command over the material.
I also want to ask you that you've done some phenomenal work. I mean, you have been in films which are watched, especially on web and television, as repeat watches, right? I mean, they're like constantly watched as because they're good, they're entertaining. They have a certain amount of seriousness attached to those films. Do people recognize you on streets?
No one ever. Not forget on streets. I mean, when I'm introduced, people don't recognize me. They don't. And no one ever, that's like a dream that, oh, that's the actor. No one. If you tell them also, they'll do a double take, or they really look hard. Is she the one? So no luck, no good fortune like that. People don't recognize me. And I understand that's a compliment. I do understand that now. There was an assistant editor once of a film of mine which didn't recognize me. So a director once did a double take on set because I was not in costume. I was in a t-shirt, jeans, standing. So that happens. People don't recognize me.
हमारे बच्चे उनके बच्चे बैठ के खाएंगे।
Oh, it was very lovely working with Anurag Basu. So, like you asked, how did I get the part? How simply they called up, and how, it was all a very simple process. And that simplicity stayed throughout. I mean, I personally felt that that's quite a spirit of his set, in the food, the way they serve it, and the way they do it, and the whole schedule and everything. And Dada has a very improvisational way of working, which really worked with me, because he also in the first meeting spoke to me about improvisation. I said, yeah, I'm okay with it. I have fun with improvisations actually, because there is something, which you're not thought of. It's something very immediate. It's in the moment. It's very adventurous. So I really found working with Dada very adventurous. That's what I keep saying everywhere. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, because, it's not the new things which are happening all the time, which is very exciting. So I really enjoyed, I thoroughly enjoyed his process. And he created such a lovely character. I mean, most people have really liked the character and the track. So I'm very grateful for that. And a lot of fun working with them. It had a very theater feel. You know, like everyone coming together. Filmmaking is a fragmented process. But in spirit, Anurag Basu's process felt very theater-like to me. I can't exactly explain it, but it felt like that. Even the Sacred Games Anurag Kashyap set felt like that to me.
Okay.
Very organic in a lot of ways, very organic.
So after having worked in films and television and OTT platforms for all these years and moving away from academics, what do you think of your decision that you decided to leave academics behind and not behind, but not pursue it in a professional
manner? I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I should be doing it more, definitely. But I'm quite happy with my decision. I feel that I did definitely have an aptitude for this work. And whether it's been theater or films or even OTT, I just feel very happy being, very natural being in that environment. Also, really thanks to the kind of people that have worked here. I mean, now when I think of it, it's like really the special directors of the industry I have had the good fortune of working with. I do feel that, you know, the amount that I would want to read on political philosophy, I'm not reading. And that has nothing to do with anything else or anyone else. It is just me. I do try and stay in touch with it. But I can read more, and I want to read and understand and work more through that. Because I feel actually academics, as we keep calling it, and, you know, experiencing and using it, we feel it's very, you know, it's something not connected to our day-to-day lives. It is. It's very connected to storytelling. It's very connected to theater or filmmaking. And I would benefit if I read more.
Okay, my last question, and I think I should ask it, it's okay, is that if your partner in crime, Himanshu, he is also from theater, he is also an actor, he's a writer. How does having an actor, a creative person in the family, help you?
It really helps. It see, one at a very personal level, in the sense, you know, you have to read lines and you know, how you interpret a scene or a script, or what he makes of it. And we've journeyed together with our acting, so that conversation is important. It makes a lot of sense to me. And also at a personal level, I know that my best interest, he holds my best interest in his heart. So that is very assuring. And he understands the daily life that, you know, acting can require. And that happens very naturally. I don't have to, sometimes actually he is more of a disciplined creative person, or an actor or an artist or a writer than I am naturally. So I'm at times put in place also. It really helps to have a partner where I can talk, but I mean, the choice was not made based on that. And I understand that people can't make choices, that I'm a computer engineer, so I want to have a computer engineer. That can get boring also at times.
You met him when you were still a student, and right?
Almost like right out of school, both of us.
Wow.
So we
have a love story there.
And we also
no wonder you're a sucker for love stories.
So no, yeah, but no, we didn't think of it like that. It just kept progressing like that. We also hold very similar worldviews and value systems and how we look at the world. So that also, you know, things that go on in the world can create confusion. So my conversations with him and everything keeps me, I feel, also anchored and grounded in my own value system, not in his or in him, but in my own.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Shalini, for making time for us, and congratulations. Congratulations for winning an award, winning the gold for that matter, and for being under the spotlight. Thank you for making time for us.
Thank you so much, Rukmini, for having me. And yes, lovely talking to you.
Lovely talking to you too. And that was Shalini Vats. This is National Herald. Please keep watching, subscribe, share, and like if you like the video. Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.